What's good, YouTube family? This your guy DJ Bless One. Thank you for watching another episode of I Smoke Hip Hop Live. Let's talk about this Deion Sanders situation. Let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's how I'm basically gonna look at it as. Let's start it like this. There's three electric seasons that came to that HBCU that's known as JSU, Jackson State University. Then the relevance of HBCUs again because of the great primetime Deion Sanders. Now, the sport hasn't seen this type of atmosphere, aura since the late great Steve McNair over 30 years ago. Rest in peace to Steve McNair. You know what I mean? At Alcorn State, many of y'all know about that already. The purple and gold definitely could hold. Now, Sanders went 27-5 during those electric 3 seasons at Jackson State. And, you know, it was shortened because of the postponed season, because of the Rona 19 or whatnot. Now, the celebration, the Celebration Bowl, he lost that. He has another one and another chance to win again coming up December 17. And he went 12-0 this season. He had a hell of a what you would like to call a rise coming out of this situation. Now, he intercepted basically something that has never happened, not even at the Division II level, at least not #1 ranked recruit. He intercepted a #1 ranked recruit, Travis Hunter, to the Jackson State University. So you know what type of prowess that Deion brings to any university he steps foot in, because these gentlemen look at him as a father figure, uncle, maybe even brother, but it's something deeper than just coach and mentor. Now, Sanders, he revived hope that black colleges could hold on to the spotlight. And he made, people believe that black schools basically could once again produce some of the most elitist, brightest talents we have seen, especially in this generation, to touch of football. I mean, he made people believe that black schools could once again produce these type of generations, and people really believed into it. Now, Florida State failed to hire Deion Sanders. Tragedy at their part. So Coach Prime now is leaving the best so-called college, team for a doormat program at a predominantly white university once again. At least that's what some of the naysayers are looking at it in that way. Now, in my opinion, he's basically leaving for underperforming Colorado. And the downwards of a season they're having, which is like what, 0-12, or I think like 1-7. If I'm not mistaken, I think so. They lost a whole lot of games, and they're in a Pac-12 conference. We know that. Now, conscious community says that Deion Sanders' exit from Jackson State, it shows you why HBCUs are basically just keep on struggling and struggling and struggling. And now, JSU, the brand. You got the sacrifice, the players, you know what I mean? You got the student body, you know what I'm saying? Has done the sacrifice all these people has done, man. Like, you got people using their social media platforms, using their time, and collectively coming together to promote, to do what they got to do. It was not just the players. I had several conversations with a whole lot of the JSU personalities and students, and even other ones who go to different HBCUs, such as FAMU, the great FAMU, and the Marching 100s. And they just told me a different atmospheres over here and make people not, want to be lazy or anything like that. People really strapped up their bootstraps and picked up the pieces where it needed to be picked up at. And it was inspiring what was going on. So now this is where I talk about, my joy and my disappointment for the departure of one primetime, aka Deion Sanders. So look, don't get emotional. Watch this whole video. I gave you a nice intro. Watch this entire video in its entirety. I'm going to start off with talking about the bad reasons of why it's bad that Deion is leaving. And then I'm going to finish this video with the great reasons on why he's leaving. We're trying to be fair and transparent through everybody here. Now, look at the situation for what it is, man. My disappointment is the legacy and building a standard. We've seen so many great speeches during these forums and conferences and even clinics, football clinics out here that Mr. Sanders have spoken to all these youth out here, even traditionally to the adults in the room, and it was gravitating, man. Like it's like that general that galvanized his troops downward, in combat in the battlefield. And you might not want to do this because you think the chances of you dying is very high to none, and you feel like giving up, maybe even going AWOL. And here come this leader. He comes and he instills not just discipline, but a motivation and confidence in yourself that you've always had, but he's just activated. It was deactivated, and now he's activated. Many coaches have come before prime time and tried to activate that in many players and instill that in them, but it's still deactivated. But he found a code to activate it. So we got to look at it as that, as far as the legacy and building the standard of what it could have done for all these HBCUs, not just JSU, because what is the standard now that's being done here? If you get a name in an HBCU, quickly leave. Although the white counterparts been doing that. They were in downgraded programs, even great high school programs, and they left for even higher level fields of exemplary coaching to see if they can test themselves. At least the great ones does that, but it's still disappointing. Now, more people will also leave for this bag. Must be the money. That's Deion Sanders, and we love that video. I've never had cable, but I seen that at my uncle's house. I think it was on HBO, and they played it. He's in the jacuzzi with the ladies. Everything is coming into full circle with this right here, because that's what all people have been mentioning is the must be the money video. Now, to say that is gonna trumpet the horns of people saying he used JSU, he left them for greater pastures, and people are feeling like the grass is not always greener because it was already getting more greener over here at a HBCU. You've done more, for this program. We understand that, but if you would have stayed, what it would have done even furthermore. Now, we got to look at it like, will Travis Hunter leave? Because that's what I pretty much feel and know he's leaving, but I don't know a man's heart, so I got to fall back. It's my personal opinion, but I'm pretty sure the consensus in the room is like it's at an all-time high. Travis Hunter, the one former great Georgia player who's originally from Florida. A lot of people don't know that. Travis Hunter, although his high school career was at Georgia schools, he was born and raised in Florida. So his ties with primetime is deeper than a football level. If you watch his social media platforms, you can see how he talks intimately about Prime. And then he had a moment with Prime where he was crying and he was like, thank you, man. That before his first game, he was like, thank you, man. And Prime just telling him to be great. So it's almost a father-son relationship. And I can just like Emmanuel Mude, who got drafted by Denver Nuggets, I think the 12th pick he was, or even I think the 9th pick in the 2014 NBA draft. And he was at that now defunct charter school that Deion Sanders had, which was not by Deion Sanders' fault that school closed down. He doesn't control certain aspects of that school. Now let's continue. Now his situation with the other players, he quoted something that lets me know that he wants the other players to leave the HBCUs and go to where he's at, because he stated like this: what I don't want to do, Sanders told his team, you feel me, is thinking something is better on the other side. He was basically referring to the transfer portal, and many people know he is gonna probably most likely take up a lot of those young men at Jackson State University. Later, when I talk about the good things, I'll talk about that more as far as why it could be good too for him to take some of those players, but we're focusing on the bad right now. So this jeopardizes the entire staple of a foundation you just build. Is being crumbled at the mere signature of a big contract from a predominantly white established university. Now his son Schroeder leaving, you know what I mean? That's something we all pretty much knew was gonna happen. He's been coaching Shadero for a minute now. Shadero been getting coached by Primetime damn near 8-9 years, if not way longer than that, continuing the youth sports as well. So that's something we knew was going to happen. And let's just be honest, that also gives a bad taste, pause in people's mouths. I'll talk about the good side of Shador leaving as well, but let's focus on why it's bad, because this is your starting quarterback for the last 2 seasons. He's brought, even though Primetime is the coach, he does a lot of the good or whatnot. But this is like a 4-star talent quarterback. You feel me? A 4-star. And we got hearsayers here and there. Maybe he's a 3-star, but to each his own. That's still something great for a HBCU to get a 3-star caliber player or a 4-star caliber player as your starting quarterback at a HBCU. And now the face of your university, the face of your team, he's just gonna get on out and leave. It's different when a coach do it because it hurts you, it gets you mad. But when your brother do it, it feels something disingenuous about it, as far as to the players who believed in the movement, who believed in the hype, who probably did their own sacrifices as well to go there. So that's just gonna leave a bad taste. Now Shiloh, the brother who I think he has a 5th year now because of injuries he had, he's choosing to stay. I seen that. And I also read reports where he unfollowed his brother and his father, but that could be for many reasons. I don't want to lead to anything and say it's because of beef or any drama like that. You know, those just are becoming antics if you think like that. So I don't know. We'll see more what comes from that, because the oldest brother, Junior, Deion Jr., he has Off the Wall Media or Media Wall, something like that is called. And that channel is booming. He's the one who's been giving us insights and coverage to everything. So Prime got his little family situation, and that's what people are going to look at it as. Was it a used situation for notoriety and attention, even though Prime doesn't need it? I mean, he's Prime Time, but your words were smooth as butter. That's what they're looking at the Prime family now. Your words is basically smooth as butter. Like, he's now helping the big established schools to continue taking away from HBCUs that needed that talent. You know, Sanders won because top recruits who normally sign with a SWAC team, you know, wanted to play for Coach Prime. And I mean, who normally wouldn't sign for a SWAC team or HBCU team, they came in the droves to play for Prime. So you got to take that to account too. Now, when he's gone, those elite recruits, they'll probably follow with the same standard Prime has just did by going to Colorado. Those recruits will now follow suit and probably go to several other universities, because I know a lot of universities could use great character players that JSU has. And not only JSU, several of these other teams such as Southern, Georgia, South Carolina, not the regular, you know, the HBCU, South Carolina, Florida, and it's a lot of teams, y'all. I'm not about to name all of them, but they have a lot of outstanding players who will now look at it like, man, look, he's the best of the best, and he went for the white dollar signs, so they might do the same thing. I hate to use that phrase, the white dollar signs, but I'm telling you what my counterparts are probably thinking, and this is what I'm seeing in the atmosphere right now. There's several videos already saying even more harsh than the way I just described it. Now, Black America will continue to produce most of the best players that are going to these predominantly white colleges, and will continue to reel them in as well. I mean, it's a standard that's been going on since the beginning. Now, if Standard had an opportunity to jump one of the best football teams, you know what I mean, we wouldn't have been having these conversations. But it's the fact that he chose underwhelming team, you know, such as Colorado. I mean, instead, he basically left this black mecca, this HBU staple, HBCU. I'm sorry, man. I'm tongue twister. My apologies to the HBCU universities out there. But he's leaving Jackson State for a team that's known as football wasteland. Not my words. What football writers are writing everywhere. They're calling Colorado the 1-11 team of basically dysfunctional wasteland. Now, I'm going to leave that alone. That's what I think against it. Now, here's my joy for Sanders leaving and the reasons why I don't blame him for leaving. And let's see what minute mark this came in. This is coming at the 13-minute mark, so I'm going to speed it up. Now, I've been loving Deion Sanders and what he's been doing. Now, the light of black coaches like Prime changing the landscape is a great thing. To see him now being in Division I sports and all that, even for if it was Division II, to see, I mean, we've already had certain coaches of his background, black and all that, but we're talking about Coach Prime as far as player who has a greater name than the skill itself, Coach Prime. So now he's going to change the landscape. We all wanted to see this man win since I was 8-9 years old. So I have a clear, a little bit bias towards following him, regardless if I disagreed with the decision or not, because you want to see him excel at the highest level. Now, HBCUs, fans out here and bandwagon fans don't really support all the time at all. It's fake. It's because of aura, a feeling. We tend to flock towards whatever is trending, whatever is flourishing. Just like ESPN, they're not going to really cover HBCUs anymore. They're going to stick with the whole thing. There's really following Deion. They never was really giving light to HBCUs like that. They're going to make it become the new wasteland, such as Colorado. The only difference is they're going to be highlighting Colorado more. So it's not a black and white thing. It's a primetime thing with ESPN or these other media outlets. I mean, they follow what's hot right now, and this is facts. Where's the attention going towards? Now, these bandwagon fans got to blame themselves. Why aren't you supporting these HBCUs prior to Sanders coming? And now that Sanders came, he has changed a community for the last 2 years and did something that nobody else could have been done for the last 30 to 70 years at any point in time and given. He did that in only 2 years. Now, should people get mad at him? I think they have their rights to, but you got to ask the committee of these universities, why haven't you secured the bag for Coach Prime? Now, I understand he was paid $300,000 per year at Jackson State. To some of us, that's a bag, but at his standard, at his skill set and what he can do, produce boys to men and produce great characters and leadership traits that not only can reside on the football field, but it can reside in the workforce, in the field, just in society in general. You need people like that in today's world. So you should have got together with alumni, prominent alumni. JSU got some of the most established black folks who come out of the HBCUs. You can go look at it. I started looking at it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, a lot of doctors, a lot of great innovators. And you telling me these people can't get their funds together and fund what you got going to secure a bag for Deion? At least at minimal, pay him $2 million a year. And I know they don't have the funds. I understand all that, but I'm talking about them having a plan of action to get out of the contract they have for him, insurance claims or whatever you got to do, loopholes, alumni. I mean, it's a lot you could really do behind the scenes, but we're not going to get into that right now. Now, his pay raise is hard to ignore. It's hard to ignore. Sanders will make more than $5 million per year. Do you know what that will do? Those type of resources. When he says it's not about the money, he is being honest, because that type of income can help him produce more help for more young, savvy young brothers out there. Also white, everybody, all nationalities, but especially us. And we know his heart, what his mindset is. And with that type of resource, he can't just help only HBCUs anymore. Damn near the entire nation is going to get that type of help now. And I look at it that way. Now, his staff also gets this help. Now, his incentives could bump his paycheck to an extra $2 million, thus making it maybe a potential $7 million a year. I mean, look at that raise, 300,000 to 7. And I'm not saying that in showing off a money way. I'm talking about the things that he can actually do. You know what I mean? That's all I'm getting into. So you got to look at the situation and where it's coming from. My bad. My phone was ringing. My apologies. Now, his assistant coaches get this increase too. I don't think you guys understand that. That pay salary that Deion has nothing to do with the coaches. That's his money. Now, they're about to get paid based on what the pay scale is for coaches in their positions. Who can go against that? I mean, I need you to tell me that. Who can literally go against that, bro? Like, now, Deion Sanders and JSU basically was credited with a $30 million impact, a $30 million impact. That's what Deion Sanders brought to JSU. You guys got to understand that. That's a lot, man. And you guys couldn't get nothing together to secure the bag for him. And I'm not going to even use the word the bag. Secure resources to establish your general with the proper resources he needs to get the job done. I mean, he got the job done with those type of resources. Could you imagine what more he could have gotten done? My personal opinion. Now, Deion Sanders' exit from Jackson State It shows you why HBUs keep struggling according to a lot of people, but it's factual. But I say it for a different reason. Like, our folks tend to get comfortable. We like people to do things for us for free. We think because this person is black and they got this black owned business, I should give you my dollar, which is not a problem at all. But what if the product is not good at all? Should I just keep supporting your business and you feel that regardless of what type of product you put out there, I'm going to buy it anyways, just because of this code that we're supposed to be on that we don't really follow? Because if we're really on code, my personal opinion, the resources getting secured for Sanders, aka Primetime, would have been done already. The support of HBCUs would have already been here. So these fake outrages going on through these conscious pro entity of melanated people in the atmosphere is fake. Because once Prime leave, let's see if they continue supporting HBCUs. That's my personal opinion. Let's see if all these people mad at Primetime, if they choose to continue the major support we have now done in the last 2 to 3 years. But I know what the answer is. Now, we got to look at this, man. HBCUs are literally becoming charity cases now. Since their beginning, look who they were funded by. It's like since the beginning of their foundational start, till now, they always need this helping hand. They can never seem to help themselves up. After all these years, there should now be questions. What type of leadership have these HBCUs have gotten? Have they raised some of the most prestigious minds we've had in our world in lifetime? Yes, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about when we're talking about the education standards, the medical fields, none of that. We're strictly talking about the sports world. We're strictly talking about athletics. Don't get that intertwined and confused for the educational side of things. And I'm not, one of these cliche dudes on YouTube to do that. That's not what we're on here. Now, got to look at it. We need more black coaches to compete with Nick Saban and the Jim Harbaughs, according to people. But I don't look at it that way. I just want to see a man get it on that level and excel. So now if he excels on that level, it can start trickling down to all the other sectors of the lower scaled universities, aka HBCUs. This is factual. You'll see more sponsorships, more support venturing off into that part. My personal opinion, even if that is not agreeable on, you do agree that he just wants to coach at the highest level. Deion Sanders is a competitor who wants to win at the highest level. What more of that don't you understand? The fact that he's competing at the highest level is already a force field that can help other people follow suit, especially in our community. God knows we need it. Like, no black coach has ever won a national football championship. I mean, to some people, it matters. Now, to me, I don't care about being the first black of this or but the first black of that. But I know what it'll do as far as in the sports world. We're not talking about in real life and reality, but in the sports world, I know what it'll do for people who look like you and me. This is factual. I mean, in the NFL, they're hiring former ESPN analyst at Mr. Jeff at Indianapolis Colts. So if he could get a job, at least let's destroy the standard, and not just destroy it, but get this championship. Because I am going to bandwagon Colorado State. Now, I'm not going to lie. I am following Primetime, just like a lot of you guys followed him to HBCUs. It was never really about HBCUs for many of you. It was about Primetime the whole time. So don't make it a race thing if you know you was just following the man, the myth, the legend, the GOAT. That's it. Now, so yes, Sanders' choice is logical, which makes me heartbroken, because for a legendary black college that deserves, its notoriety and attention and a few years of shine, but at the same time, it's like we know what it goes on in life and elevations and process going through and growth. I mean, maybe when it comes to college football, it's true. Look, I'm your guy, DJ Bless One. Love your family, love your kids, and stay blessed.